Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, does your website need a makeover? Was it popular when Clinton was president? It might be time to give it a little bit of touch-up. We'll be talking to a nationally known expert next.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, as we all know, your website is your online store, and that became even more important during the pandemic when so many brick and mortar stores were not allowed to open. So to talk about web design today, a good friend of mine, Andrea McNeely, she's the owner and chief designer at 320 Designs. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Jeff. I appreciate it.
Well, I want to say we trust her so much with web design that's where we send our clients when they need help. So I truly vouch for what she's doing. But I want the audience to get to know you before we get into the finer art of web design. The name 320, where does it come from?
So the company was really birthed out of this, out of the Ephesians 3:20, which is that God can do exceedingly abundantly far more than we can ever ask or think. And that really encompasses what we do. We want to deliver exceedingly and abundantly far more than our clients can ever ask or think. So that's kind of our mantra. That's what we go by. That's what we live for. That's what fuels us, is really over-delivering what we offer.
That's why we like each other, because we have the same philosophy.
Yeah.
So I want to hear about your family. Tell us about...
So I'm on round 2.
Okay.
Round 2, my husband Matthew, he has 2 amazing kids. They are very tall. So in our, we took a family photo a couple of years ago, and you can clearly see my kids who are there they are, who are appropriately sized for me. I refer to myself as fun size.
Yes.
And then you have Matt's kids who, we've got a basketball star over in his corner, and my stepdaughter goes to OU currently, so it's great. They're a fun bunch. There is never a dull moment in our home.
Wow. Okay, how did you get into web design?
So we started out, graphic design is my background, and I really found a need for that entrepreneur, the small business, needing affordable but professional marketing services. And that's really where 320 was born. It was out of that need. I really wanted to offer services that an entrepreneur could afford. So then if anyone bigger than an entrepreneur, were to call us, they're really getting that same affordability. So transparency is key in everything that we do. And so pricing listed on our website, it's very transparent on what we offer. And that's really, I think that's where our passion comes, is getting that entrepreneur where they need to go in their business.
And I love your honesty and transparency, because to be honest, I've been doing my PR firm for now 13 years, and I've run across some web companies that are just charging way too much, and then the client feels almost held hostage by this web company.
Yes. Years ago, before I even started my company, I was a part of a different firm and was in charge of their building their website, and I didn't have any experience at the time. So we hired someone. We paid way too much. I had no idea what I was doing. So I didn't know the questions to ask, right? So this whole project really was the launching pad of me saying, we've got to do this better. We've got to do this better, guys. And it really is such a gray area. You don't, as a business owner, you have no idea what goes on in the background. And so you really have to find someone that you trust, and that's really where we come in, and where we want to be that trusted source.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I know there's been a lot of coverage about companies that had websites, but they really weren't set up to do online merchandise. And then the pandemic happened, and then suddenly everybody needed it tomorrow.
That's
Did
right.
you get flooded with business?
We did. I didn't know what to expect. I'm sure everyone was kind of like that, when we started to quarantine, and we had no idea. But those clients came, and we've been around long enough. We've been around for almost 10 years, and so just word of mouth and reputation, we started getting calls of. Actually, I had one client. Quick story. She was a bridal gown designer, and overnight revamped her company to make masks.
No kidding.
Yes.
That's
so
a great story.
Within 48 hours, we had a full e-commerce site live for her, no kidding, with the starting masks that she had, that she was selling. And it was such a great example of, you've got to lean into the demand. But also you got to be flexible, and it was a great, she's still marketing those masks, but great example of having to kind of switch gears on the fly.
We've got some before and afters, and I want to put those up on the screen. I love your design is always sophisticated and easy to read, especially on this next one coming up here. I think it's a eye doctor.
Yes, yes.
I mean, gosh, you got to have big font.
That's right. That's right. And contrast of color, the appropriate color, the right color. I really view websites kind of like when you walk into a home. Realtors will tell you that it's emotion. You really got to capture that emotion. And I feel that same way with a website. That is your online business card. So the first time someone comes to your site, we call that above the fold. So it's just that prime real estate right when they come to the site. What are they feeling? What are you telling them right there? And so having the just a beautiful display of something right there, as when they come onto the site, is just key.
Okay, let's talk about use of color, because it seems like red is a very aggressive color,
Yes.
right? And there's a time and a place for it.
Yes. If I come, talking to a client and their logo has red, I really try to encourage them. There's color philosophy, there's color psychology, and red is urgency. It's it just creates that kind of that stirring emotion. So if you're not wanting to accomplish that, you want to kind of tone those colors down. Or if red is in your logo, maybe make it some subtle touches here and there.
Like an emergency clinic or something like that, red would be appropriate.
Absolutely.
But if it's a button-down law firm, maybe blue or a safer color. What are
Yes.
Trusted colors?
Trusted colors. So I could answer that, but I want to twist it a little bit and twist my answer in saying that every client is unique, and what works for one, even if it's a lawyer, may not work for another because of their personality. So really my goal when talking to someone is to really pull out that personality. And as you kind of noticed on those before and afters, it's bringing that through in design, whether it's color, font style, photo style, if we're using stock photos versus their photos, getting that unique fingerprint of who they are and displaying it.
And let's talk about font style, because sometimes people can get too clever, right?
Yes.
It's fancy, but you can't read it.
Right. So graphic design is my background. So font style, you can have a main font, maybe something a little more stylish, but your text should always be something easily readable, like in a book. You don't have fancy type when you're designing an internal book layout. You've got something that's easily readable. But there can be those accents. I'm like I said, I'm a graphic designer, so I love the styles and the fonts and the creativity, and so really getting in there and adding those touches of creative font styles is fun to to kind of work in, right?
Yes.
Yeah, in a way that's sellable, in a way that's functional, not just there just because, but we want it to have purpose.
And your website tells a story, and sometimes that story is a dated story because websites go through trends just like clothing, right?
Yes.
Bell bottoms are out. They speak the 70s, right? I'm assuming that web styles go in and out of favor.
They do. It's interesting, when we went from just desktop only to then websites being more mobile friendly, that was a huge transition. So really having something that is ideal for desktop and a layout that's ideal for tablet and then ideal for mobile is really, really important. So having a theme or someone that can design a site that automatically transitions between those three is so important. So important.
Sometimes I tell clients, look at Apple. Apple has, thousands of different products that they can offer, but if they cram them all on the homepage, it would be overwhelming. It would be like too much. It's a clean, simple design that guides you through the website.
Right. I kind of look at the homepage as like the table of contents of a book. So you kind of want to sprinkle all the things that you have, all the content, all the different pages that you have on your website, sprinkle those throughout the homepage. Give them kind of a glimpse of what the rest of your site is. Because most people have I think it's like 4 seconds that they are to land on your website. So when they're scrolling through, what are those key points that you want to make? The other thing that's really important is the call to action. Some websites are beautiful, they're well written, but they're not calling people to act on anything. So at the bottom of the page, what is it that you want them to do? Get a quote, call for a free consultation, start shopping, whatever that is, you want to make sure that is present, that's obvious right there at the bottom of every page.
In every profession, there's a win, right? So on the football field, we know what a win is. What is a win for you? I mean, when you show the website to the person for the first time.
Right. That's so funny you say that, Jeff, because I say this on an introductory call. My goal is that we are popping the bubbly and that we're all celebrating when the site goes live. It's bringing out that passion. A lot of times I'll talk to business owners and they're tired or they've lost hope. And so really bringing out what was it that got you into doing what you do, and portraying that and pulling that out and putting that on the website is so fun. And then once we're done and we're celebrating, to me that's a win.
Okay, we've only got time for one more question, so I want you to look into the camera on the right. That's the viewer. The person watching this right now who says, gosh, I don't know if I need Andrea, it costs nothing to call you and have an audit, right?
Absolutely. My goal in talking to business owners is, are you ready? Are you ready? Between our copy, your story, the branding. For example, you may not be ready yet to start the website project. You may need to begin with rebranding. And so it's really just kind of going through that without really any agenda personally in mind. I want to see where that client is at and how we can get you from where you are now to where we need to go. And so that could take us off into many different things. It may not end up being website, but let's have that conversation. Let's see what we can do and what we can offer to build your website, to build your online presence, and make sure that people can find you online is really the key.
Andrea, you've been a great guest. We're going to go ahead and put your website up and give us the domain name.
Yes, so 320designs.com is our website. You can find all of our information. Again, like I said, truly transparent pricing. I'd love to talk.
Outstanding. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much, Jeff. I appreciate it.
And that's it for now. We'll see you next time.